Hey guys, Mike the Vike here. Today we're going to do a video talking about how to raid in Rust, or some raiding tips and suggestions. I've been through a lot of raids and been invited to a few here and there, and I've just noticed a lot of annoying things which people don't seem to be changing very much. Now obviously I'm sure some of you may be super experienced and this will all be old news to you, but in case anybody's new to raiding or just wants to learn how to get better at it, here's some suggestions. So when I'm talking about a raid, I don't just mean going up there and tossing C4. There is a pre-raid phase where you have to plan everything out, and I feel like people's pre-raid phase these days is super terrible, and that's why there's so many raids where they just get wrecked because they're not prepared at all. So what would you do in this pre-raid phase? Well, the first and most obvious thing would be sort of to plan out the raid. So the main thing would be, do you have enough C4? I've been in so many raids where we get to the base and then okay, how are we gonna raid this thing now? No, you shouldn't do that when you've got 30 C4 on you. You should have done that a really long time ago. Now, a lot of people pick what base they want to raid based on who they hate or who killed them last and so on. But oftentimes that base is a lot bigger than what they're actually capable of raiding with just 3 players online or whatever. So just be very realistic with what you can actually raid. Now you might be wondering, how do I do this? Well, it's quite simple, honestly. And you can do this all just by running up to the base as a naked or whatever, and just looking at the base. Just seeing, okay, we've got a stone wall, that's 4 C4, and then looks like a couple layers of stone. Luckily, these bases are completely visible, and you can kind of estimate how much C4 you're going to need. Of course, you can't see an inside of the base, but you can prepare for the worst in terms of how much C4 you're going to need, so that you don't run out of C4 in the middle of the raid. That's terrible, and you never want that to happen. Another sneaky thing that you can do, which I haven't seen a lot of people do, but the people that have are really smart, is you kind of just have to camp the base out when they're building. So this is really annoying because you'll probably be building your base at the same time. So this requires a big team. But if you are able to see them building their base, at least a little bit, and just figure out, okay, here's the layout roughly, you can get a pretty good idea of what the base is going to look like when it's all built up. Now obviously this doesn't work out in every situation. If they're smart, they'll just build their outer walls first, but again, it's something to keep an eye out for. Another very important thing to do is to establish a leader in the group or the raiding party. And this is important just because in those times when decisions need to be made, when things don't go to plan, somebody has to be in charge and is able to make a decision and people act on it. I've been involved in far too many raids where everybody thinks their opinion is the best and greatest, and because nobody is actually a leader, they all just end up dying because nothing ends up happening, or nobody's listening. So again, with a leader, it's obvious, oh, okay, I listen to this guy, I gotta do what he says, otherwise, I don't know, maybe you get kicked out of the group, something like that. Another advantage to this is, well, if you have an actual leader, that means you have somebody that's actually thinking what's gonna happen next. So instead of everybody just kind of being there, just shooting guys, not really thinking what's going on, you have somebody that's hopefully preparing a little bit while things are happening, and is prepared to make decisions. My next suggestion would be regarding communication, so whatever you're using, TeamSpeak or whatever, I would recommend breaking up the chatter into different groups somehow. I know this is super complicated, and if you have a small team, probably not worth it, but if you're doing a big raid, it's good to break them up because that keeps the communication quiet, so you could have guys that are support players that are in the back, then you could have a group that's actually placing the C4 that's with that guy guarding them, and so on, just so that things are a little bit cleaner. Pretty much this has all been preparation. You've got no tips on once you're actually in the raid because honestly, when you're there, there's not much you can do. You kind of just have to execute your plan, hope it goes well. The only suggestion would be if stuff is going badly, don't just sit there and get stuck. If it's not working, just get out of there with what gear you have. Then you can use it for a bigger raid next time. Just because things go wrong doesn't mean you can't try again, just have better prep next time. You learn from your mistake, hopefully just come back with twice the amount of C4 and you'll be good to go. Another huge issue that I see in raids is friendly fire and just straight up confusion. There's many points where you'll see somebody running up the raid tower or something, and you'll yell out, hey, who's on the raid tower? And they'll be like, oh yeah, it's me. And then you die, and you're like, what? And it turns out it wasn't the guy, somebody just got confused. And so, I mean, that's an issue with Rust on one part, because there's like no difference in players and there's just not enough uniforms in general, so it's very easy for people to mimic what you look like. But still, I think communication is very important. This is missing, so to avoid friendly fire, be specific with your questions and be specific with your answers. And honestly guys, that's pretty much all I've got for you. Prep is extremely important, and I think a lot of people miss out on it, and if you have good prep, your raids should be better. Hopefully this helps you guys out. If it did, please let me know in the comments. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.